The distinct pleasure or honor is also mine to introduce a sister, Our Lady of the Evening, Janeil Odle. She's a motivational speaker who happens to be blind. She's an advocate for persons with disabilities and has the distinction of being the first attorney at law in Barbados who is blind. She would have lost her sight at age 6 as a result of an accident, but in spite of this, she has reportedly overcome all obstacles in her way to success. She was the first person in Barbados to sit the Common Entrance examination in Braille in 2007. She later moved on to the institution at Waterford. Thereafter, the Barbados Community College, where she subsequently became the 2014 valedictorian and earned a Barbados exhibition in that same year. She was also chosen in 2015 to do the welcome speech on behalf of the youth of the region at the Youth Symposium, which was attended by His Excellency, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General of the United Nations. As they say, class is class, form is temporary. Janeil graduated in 2017, earning a first-class honors degree in law from the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus, and then received her legal education certificate from the Hugh Woodin Law School in 2019. She now holds a master's degree in public law and operates her own legal practice. As Minister implored you just now, direct some business there. And she wished to use her gifts to fulfill her passion of helping marginalized persons. This passion has led her to be the accessibility advisor to the Future Barbados, an initiative out of the Prime Minister's office. And she now sits on the National Advisory Committee for Improving the Lives of Persons with Disabilities. That is the committee that Minister would have referenced. Enough said. The best person to tell your story is you yourself. I have, with all the fervor that I can muster within the geographical confines of my bosom, I wish to invite you, Sister Janeil, to tell us your story. Janeil. Turn, feel, reach forward. The mic. Yes.
Protocols already having been established. Good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I first want to give a special good evening to Special Envoy, Ms. Rosalyn Hurley. As she said, I knew her for a number of years now. She said for time was 7 or 8, but honestly I could not remember. I just remember knowing her for years. And every time she would see me, she would say, "You're looking good, girl." And then quickly after, as you heard, she would say, "I'm so proud of you." So tonight, Ms. Hurley, I am pleased to do this lecture in your honor. Thank you. Carrie Ann Eiffel, or should I say Auntie Carrie? Thank you for your strong sentiments, your faith in me over the years. As she said, I have no problem. I call her all the time whenever there are barriers ahead of me, whenever I have problems with technology, I ask her, "What do you think I should do?" And she'll go like, "You got this, girl. You got this covered." Just as she said to me just now, I got this. To my family, my friends, members of the church, all of my supporters gathered here tonight, good evening, and thank you so much for coming out this evening. It is a pleasure for me to give this talk to you guys today. Thank you so much. As I begin, I like to just tell you guys, one of my favorite stories. It's actually a tale from Argentina entitled The Magic Ball. And in this story, it begins with a little girl and a little boy, brother and sister. They were playing in the woods one day when the little girl saw a pretty shiny ball. And as children are, she was curious. She wanted it, she wanted to see it, she wanted to play with it, so she ran to get it. But every time she would get close to it, it rolled away. She ran behind it again, it rolled away. She ran behind it, it rolled away. And finally, it stopped by a large rock. She was finally able to take it up. She held it in her hands. She gazed at it, amazed at its beauty, how sparkly it was. But as soon as she did that, she was frozen in place. She became extremely cold, and she could not move. Her brother, realizing that she was in distress, tried to help her, but he couldn't. She was enclosed by this huge invisible barrier, and no matter how high he climbed or how much he tried to walk around her, he couldn't get to her. So after trying and trying, they went to sleep, they wake up, they tried and tried. Nothing. There was no success. Eventually, this big bird came along at them, and the bird said something like, "Things of the dark and things without name cannot withstand a burning flame." They discussed it. They were confused. What that could possibly mean? But then they realized it probably meant that fire would break the spell. So the brother ran off deeper into the woods trying to find some fire. And he crossed the river, ran alongside a lake, all the way to find a cottage. He went inside a cottage. He saw a fireplace. He was able to get a stick, get some fire from the fireplace, and made his way back to his sister. He knew that if he didn't get there in time, she would not make it. So he ran, trying to retrace his steps. But as he crossed the river, the flame was extinguished by the water as it splashed up. So dismayed, frustrated, probably even tired, he had to turn around, go back to the cottage to get some more fire. He got the fire, and this time he was determined to be more careful. He was going to walk around the river this time, and he tried to do that. But as he did so, he tripped, he fell. The fire fell into the snow and once again was extinguished. He knew that if he didn't make it back to his sister soon, she would not make it. Of course, he was scared. He was worried. He was terrified. He was tired, but he had to help his sister. So he went back to the cottage for the third time. He got a little stick, got some more fire, and went back to his sister. This time, he was holding it as tightly as he possibly could, and he was watching his steps. Then a big flamingo came, flew next to him, and together they ran. He put his hand over the back of the flamingo. They ran together. The flamingo protected the flame with her wing, and they ran until they reached his sister. As soon as he touched the barrier around his sister, the fire, the spell was broken and the sister was free. I hope that from that story you got two things out of it. One, we all need support. If the sister didn't have her brother, and if the brother didn't have those birds, they wouldn't be able to reach their goal of saving the little girl. And two, no matter how many times we fail, no matter how many times we fall down, no matter what barriers may come in our way, we cannot give up if we want to reach our goal. If the brother had given up, any of those times that the fire was extinguished, he would not have been able to save his sister. And while my story does not include any magic balls or any talking birds or anything magical, this tells the same principles that my story tells. My personal story began a couple of days before my 6th birthday. I was a normal child, 90s child, running around the place all happy, riding bicycles, playing with my family and friends, enjoying life. When one of my friends at the time invited me to get a ride in the bar, the bicycle. As everybody else is doing it, I saw nothing wrong with it. I got a ride in the bicycle bar, and I soon fell off and hit my head. It wasn't long before I was filled with excruciating pain all over my body. I was first treated with meningitis, then dengue. But as I had no fever, several tests were conducted, and it was after an MRI was done that it was shown that I had a blood clot in the brain. I was taken overseas New Jersey, where I received some treatment. But due to the time that I was there and the fact that the blood clot had damaged the optic nerve, we were told that I would have to live with blindness for the rest of my life. At the time, I don't remember this having a very strong or negative impact on me. I was still a happy child running around the place, having fun. But what I do remember, I remember how I felt when family members and friends drifted away. I remember how it felt when all I wanted to do was continue playing with my cousins and continue talking to my friends, and I couldn't do that because they wouldn't talk to me, because they somehow felt that I was a different person or they didn't know how to interact with me. I soon began to study at the Irving Wilson School, which is School for the Blind and Deaf. And at that school, I was taught Braille and basically how to live as a blind child. However, I didn't feel included either. Imagine as a parent, your child coming home every day, the child isn't happy, don't have any friends, don't feel as if they're being included in all the activities. You will not like that. That actually led my parents to become foster parents, so I would have some company at home. So let's mention here now, if you have the room in your heart and the room in your house, please open up your place to one of these children who may need your help. You may not begin to imagine, you cannot begin to imagine the impact they can have on your lives as you impact their lives. To this day, one of those children, she's still one of my strongest supporters and one of my closest friends. So along with the foster children in our house, obviously we have my big brother, who was always there for me. He would take me for ice cream, he took me to the circus, he took me to Coney Island, all these things, but he was a lot older than I was. Well, he still is a lot older than I am, so I still wanted, obviously, more company. So it was then that my mother decided that she thought that, I was in a quote-unquote normal school before I lost my sight. Why is it I can't be in one of those schools again? So she tried contacting the Ministry of Education. She called everybody that she could find, trying to let them to listen to her, but no success. At that time, children who were blind were supposed to be at the school for the blind and deaf. But thanks to the support that I had at that time, my parents, of course, my teacher at the time, Ms. Ahmed Ali, the principal, Mr. Wilmot Strong, they were able to speak with the principal of the school next door, Cumberbatch, Mr. Ward, to make sure that I can have a couple of days where I can sit down in a class and just learn. And it was that led me to do the common entrance, albeit 2 years after the average time that the students would do it. I gained entry into the Common Mere School, my school of choice at that time. My brother went there, my mentor, Auntie Carrie went there, and I just wanted to be at Common Mere School. From all I heard, it was supposed to be the best school in the world. I thought I was over the moon. I thought I had made it when I started school there, but little did I know, I had only turned a bend on my journey. Just turned the corner. I ain't reached my destination yet. When I started school at Common Mere, I had a lot of support too, thanks to the Barbados Children's Trust, who donated a lot of equipment, including a PackMate, which is basically it helps me to do input into it like a Braille machine, but it has the features of a computer as well, so I could do my work on and some other equipment. However, getting my books in accessible format was a no-no. Imagine I already had to struggle with my work, and still I had to be up 1 o'clock, sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning, with my father or some of my school classmates reading to me so I could braille out the work for the next day because I did not have the books in accessible format. Thankfully, I had some teachers who would go the extra mile too. Some wonderful math teachers who would even come over at my house sometimes to make sure I was following, especially when it relates to diagrams, and make sure I knew what was going on in class. Some excellent biology teachers who would make sure that the diagrams were tactile so I could follow. But unfortunately, not all teachers would grace me with that. Several times I'll be sitting in class and all I'll be hearing is, yeah, so do this and do that and do this. Like, ma'am, sir, can you please read what you're doing on the board? No, I don't teach like that. So many times I was forced, obviously, to ask my classmates, can you read to me what's going on? And you know how many times we got in trouble for talking too much? Even though I had no choice. I had no choice. But still, I pressed on. Up every night, stressing most of the time. But I knew that I had goals and I had to reach those goals. So when the end of the first term came and I heard I come first in class, I was over the moon. My family, everybody was over the moon, but that was very short-lived. Because then the persons who I thought my friends started to drift away. Like, how dare me, a blind person, beat them in class? Like, who does that? They thought I was getting special treatment. Oh, the teacher had to be giving her those answers because there's no way she could learn that. All the complaints I was getting. There was no way I could have been doing that well. And I will never forget how I felt that day when I came to school on Monday morning to find out that the entire class was invited to a birthday party and I was not. I encourage you parents today to just teach your children about acceptance. Accept persons with differences. To include persons around them because you never know the challenges that they may have. It truly takes a village. And in that village, I would say too, is a church as well. I used to go to a church and remember that no matter how many times I would ask to be included, I would get no response. So many times I would ask to do stuff, I would get no response. So much so till I reached the point I lost faith in the church. I lost faith in persons who would call themselves Christians because I was like, these persons call themselves Christians, but yet can't accept people around them. That was until I started attending the Ellerton Wesleyan Church. Yes. Thank you. The church members are here tonight too. Thank you for the support. They taught me that I was included. I was a part of the family. They showed me what a church family was supposed to be and helped me to get through my struggles still in school, prayed with me and worked with me. And that is what support is supposed to be like. That is what inclusion is. I also felt included at the Barbados Community College, which I attended after I left Combermere. I could tell you, I felt as if I was actually an adult as there were other children, well, other students were. My lecturers at the time, anytime I needed any help or there were any challenges, I felt comfortable going to Mr. Burke, Ms. Bushell Ashley, Mr. Edwards, all of them. They would listen to me. They would help me. And it doesn't help when persons would turn their backs on you. But they didn't do that. Anytime I needed to speak to them, anytime I could not follow in class, they would listen. And not to mention, a lot of the books then were in accessible format, so it was a lot easier. So it was no surprise to me when I graduated in 2014 as valedictorian in the Barbados Community College. After gaining the Barbados exhibition, I entered law faculty at the University of West Indies. At that time, I was a bit skeptical, like, what can I experience here now? I had some terrible experiences in the past, had some good ones. I hope this is not a terrible one. But luckily for me, as I entered law faculty, it was at a time that they had a paperless policy. So all the documents, handouts, worksheets, and everything were online. So using my software, my text-to-speech programs and stuff like that, I was able to access all of the work. And to me, that speaks to inclusion. Because I didn't have to be worrying about what was written on the board. I didn't have to worry about the documents they bring to me today. I had everything at my fingertips. I also had a very strong support team in my friends, Carla, Janeil, Dominique, Kashawn, who were always there for me, who helped me through my university life. So we worked together at all times at school, and when I graduated with first class honors, I knew that. Well, thank you. I knew at that time I was on the road to becoming a lawyer. I expected that it'd be smooth sailing from here. I thought so at least. I thought so. Barbados Community College, it went well. UWE went reasonably well. So applying to law school shouldn't be that difficult, right? Wrong. All of my friends were receiving acceptance and I did not. I sat there confused. So how is it I got first class honors out to know I ain't hear back anything yet? I sent emails, nothing, until I received a call one day. We're not sure we can accept you because we can't cater to you at this time. Excuse me? After everything I have been through, after everything I had to deal with, all the barriers I had to climb, all the challenges I had to overcome, for you to tell me that you can't accept me because you can't cater to me, I was living. But I don't ever take no for an answer. Anybody who knows me knows this. So, I called up a lot of my lecturers at university, my daughter at university. They contacted the school. I let them know that I come this far and I can handle it too. So they accepted me, but that's pretty much all they did. Sorry. I begged several times for different things to be included for accessibility. Simple things like having any comments on assignments in accessible format. They couldn't do. So I had to be always depending on my friends to read things to me, to help me with this, to help me with the next, because no matter how much I would beg and plead, he wouldn't, yes. It was difficult, several difficulties. Already I was stressed out. Already I was down. Already I was going through a lot, being away from home, being away from my support system, my family. I'm in a strange country in Trinidad, basically living on my own, studying at law school, and then I had to deal with the added pressures of living in an accessible environment. I can only begin to tell you how many times I wanted to give up, how many times I wanted to quit, how many times I would just stand there in the shower, crying, hoping that no one can hear me. How many times I called my parents and said, Daddy, send a plane ticket for me, I'm coming home, I'm done with this. My father reminded me that I'm not a quitter. He would tell me that all the time. Sometimes he used to annoy me. Like, how you could tell me I'm not a quitter? You know what I'm going through? But thank you, Daddy. One thing I can say for sure now, having gone through Hewlett Law School and completing it successfully, I know now that I can deal with anything. After completing Hewlett Law School, I was like, this time now for sure I'm over the moon, because now I'm an attorney in waiting. I went through the fire. I get burned a little bit by healing. And I was ready to take on the world. So I started my master's in public law at University of the West Indies. And it was entirely online, so it was almost a breeze, almost. But the next challenge came when I decided that as a woman, as an adult, as a human being, I was ready to start a family. But the people around me, what's she really doing though? All she can do is be a disgrace to she family. Or who do that to she? Or how retarded woman can raise a child? Or even worse, can you imagine a long, hard, difficult delivery? Your baby has been raced away to NICU. You're worried, you're scared, you're in pain, you don't know what's coming next. But a doctor had the audacity to come to you and ask you, so who can take care of this child when he goes home? I felt at that time, I couldn't even comprehend how I felt. She didn't see me as a woman. She did not see me as having rights, as a human being, as an adult. She only saw me for my disability. And I realized at that time that in spite of everything I've been through and everything I've accomplished, there'll be persons out there who will see me for nothing more than just a blind girl. Because that's all I seem to be to them. It was at that moment that I decided, I made up my mind that no matter where my career takes me, I will dedicate my life to promoting the rights of persons with disabilities. Because no one is to feel as low as I felt. No one is to feel the depression I felt so many times going through my life. No one is to feel as excluded as I felt so many times. It is my desire to see Barbados become an inclusive place to all persons. So I decided that obviously I had to start with a career, but that didn't go as I would plan. Several applications to workplaces later, over 200. Several interviews and no callbacks. Back into a state of depression again. After everything I've accomplished, after as far as I've come, and I can't even get a job. So I was forced then to obviously start my own practice. Everybody telling me, you've come this far, and honestly, when you're down, that's just words. When you're in that place, you're looking for solutions, it's just words. But I've learned to trust in God even when I am down. And I'm not here to preach today, but even then, when I did not know where to turn, he always had an answer for me. I was chosen to be the accessibility advisor for Future Barbados. That was only a 5 months contract, but for that 5 months, the initiative out of the Prime Minister's office, where a group of young people came up with different ideas to make Barbados a better place to grow, to live, to work, to raise children, to live. And I was able to sit with them and speak with them and help to inform them how to make their plans, their ideas more accessible to persons with disabilities. And for me, that just shows us that that's just one step closer towards inclusion. But after that was completed, there I was again. So what next now? But then I received another call that I was appointed to the National Advisory Committee to improve the lives of persons with disabilities. And for me, that just felt as if it was going exactly with the plans that I wanted, my goals, to continue advocating for the rights of persons with disabilities. The mandate was to propose legislation and policies to improve the lives of persons with disabilities. And as we met with, as you would heard Minister Humphrey say, over 60, almost 60 different entities, meeting with persons to get their ideas, to tell them about the rights that we have under the United Nations Conventions and the rights of persons with disabilities, I knew that we are now just one step closer towards my goal, my dream of having an inclusive Barbados. Now, the tenure of that committee is coming to an end, and honestly, I don't know what's going to be next for me, but I'll continue to trust that God has something worked on, something planned. My story now is basically coming to an end, but I hope that I was able to teach you a few things. One, disability does not discriminate. You heard my story. I was a happy-go-lucky 90s kid running around the place giving trouble one day. Next day, I was totally blind. What happened to me might not happen to you, but it could happen to anyone around you. And you would not want anyone to discriminate against you. You would not want anyone to discriminate against your loved ones or exclude them from any activities. So, put yourself in our shoes. It doesn't hurt you to include us. It doesn't hurt you to just support us, encourage us, and give us the opportunity to grow. I also hope that today you learned from me that you must never give up. You must never take a no for an answer. No matter how many times you fall down, no matter how many challenges may come your way, no matter how many barriers you may face, keep your goal in mind and continue working towards it. At times, because of your disability or differences or whatever it may be, someone might try to just enclose you in a box and keep you in there and say, this is what you're supposed to do. But as one of my favorite quotes from Celestine Chua once said, when someone says you can't, they show you their limits, not yours. They're telling you that if they were in your position, they couldn't get your goals accomplished. That doesn't tell you that you can't. Continue to punch above the surface. Break that glass ceiling. When you break it, yes, it may shatter, you might get cut, but hello, guess what? The ceiling is no longer there. The limit is the sky. Don't be afraid of a little pain, you know. You may get bruised. You may get hurt. You may be afraid of failure. But failure is just a way to show you that that way didn't work. Let's try another way. Don't give up. And as I close, I will leave you with another one of my favorite quotes for Thomas S. Monson. And it says, good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger the wind, the stronger the trees. I think.
I'm here.